Cable crossovers, good or bad? A little bit of both. First of all, we have to recognize that he's moving at what would be considered a somewhat decline angle. And as I said earlier, the decline angle is the best angle for the pecs. He's moving, literally, this arm is ending up right in the middle. You can't, if you saw him more from the side, you would see that his arm is ending right in the middle between the clavicle and the lower pecs. That means he's moving toward the majority of the pectoral fibers that attach to the sternum. That's very good. Now, what don't I like about this exercise? I'll show you.
Keep that chest up.
Right here. Now, this bone would be neutral if this resistance was parallel to it, but it's not. It's almost, well, it's actually more perpendicular from this angle than this lever is. This is the operating lever of the pecs. This is the operating lever of the biceps and triceps. So, because he's got the cables so wide, there's an awful lot of bicep load here. If you used a free motion machine and you have the cables right up here, right above his elbows, he could keep his forearm parallel to that cable, keep his forearm neutral, and have only his upper arm being the active lever. That would load up the pecs completely without jeopardizing a bicep injury. Keep in mind, the bicep is not as strong as the pecs. So if you really want to load up the pecs, you're going to have to use more weight than the biceps can handle. And this is the weak link in the chain here.
That chest up. Good. Volumize the chest.
Okay, now another thing that is neither good or bad, but it's worth noting, is that if you were doing dumbbells, then the resistance would be coming straight from behind you, right? Which means that his upper arm lever in this contracted position would be parallel to gravity if he was using dumbbells, right? That means he would be contracting his chest with a neutral lever and very little, if any, resistance. But because the resistance is coming from the side, this lever is now more active than it would otherwise be with free weight, which means that he's getting more resistance at the point of contraction than if he was using free weight. Now, is that good or is that bad? Well, generally speaking, muscles are weaker when they're contracted and stronger when they're elongated. That's why we feel so good when we do dumbbell presses, because as that muscle expands and gets stronger, the resistance, the load increases. And as we get weaker, we can flex that muscle without having to struggle with too much resistance. So one of the things that you'll probably feel here, if you're really paying attention to what you're feeling, is that you're getting not quite enough resistance in the elongated position, and maybe a little too much resistance in the contracted position. And you might want to add some to the outside, or maybe use a heavier weight, and then you can't contract it. So there's a little bit of an inconsistency there. It's generally a good movement, but the only thing I would do to improve it is use a free motion machine where the resistance was coming from slightly more behind you and closer rather than out so far from the sides.
Holy hotel. It was 440?
I have no idea.